You know, here's the funny thing is that this is just one pile of 3. G'day folks, Wren here, and today we're going to do a haul. I have so many books. I don't need to be buying anymore. And yet here we are. And there was me saying that from the last video I was just going to keep wearing my black lipstick all the time. And then today I went and got my lip pierced. So no makeup is going on this for at least a week. So yes, I now have spider bites. Not that I don't know how close I want to get to the camera, so yeah. Anyways, we're here to talk about books, not my new piercing. I bought a lot of books in January. You know, this isn't unusual for me. I buy lots of books all the time, if that wasn't very obvious. I think I've counted, there's about 20 books in this stack right now. And I will say there are some books in here that I bought in December, but they've only just arrived to me in January, so I'm going to count them in this January haul. So, first up is the entire series of the Creepy Cat manga series. So this is by Cotton Valent. I'm so obsessed with these. They are so cute. So in the latter half of 2022, I became obsessed with cat manga, and this definitely solidified that. So this is about Flora, who is a gothic artist, and she moves into this like gothic looking house and she buys herself a cat, which she calls Creepy Cat. And it lives up to the name. Throughout the 4-volume series, you find out there are several cats just like Creepy Cat. And these cats, they can do things. So some of them can multiply exponentially. They can stretch really far. They can fly. They can expand themselves to then almost like eat the human, but then it just looks like the human is wearing like a cat costume. There's a reason for all of that, I promise. But these are absolutely hilarious. They're a very different manga style than I'm used to. Every single page is just these like 4 panels and you just read, you know, like that. And sometimes they almost feel like separate stories. Like I was really confused about like the separate stories at first. It's just like a day in the life type thing, but there's like some shenanigans going on and there's a whole cast of characters and lots of flying cats. They're honestly just adorable and I love them all so much. So I highly recommend for anyone that wants to read some like a funny goth vibe cat shenanigans, read these. So this is volume 1, then volume 2, volume 3, and volume 4. In volume 4 you get one of my favourite cats. I mean I love all the cats, honestly. Every single one of these cats I adore. But we get this one. I love this one. And then we got the little one. And then the slightly bigger ones. Oh, I love it so much. Highly recommend. Okay, then I got The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abi Dare. I didn't know what this was. I still don't know what it is, but the cover is gorgeous. And it's about a wife from a Nigerian village who's 14 years old. Okay. And she's expected to be quiet, but she decides not to be. So, like, that was cool enough for me to want to read. I love reading about, like, female power. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know much about these. How do you do hauls when, like, you don't know what the book's about? To be fair, I never know what books are about. Okay, next we have A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahereh Mafi. I have known about this for several years. I didn't think I'd be interested in it. I haven't read any Tahereh Mafi yet. I do have the first 3 books of the Shadow Me series. I saw this at a shop and I read the back and I was like, wow, how did I not know what this was about? Why haven't I read it already? It's kind of about 9/11 and how some Muslim kids are trying to deal with that aftermath. Like a year after 9/11, this girl started a new school and she wears hijab, and then it sounds like really hard-hitting contemporary, but this is the type of hard-hitting that I'm more interested in than ones that super deal with a romance. I mean, there might be a romance in here. There's a romance. But I don't know, I'm very interested in this, and yeah, about the effect 9/11 had on the Muslim community. Like, whew, it would be rough. So I'm very interested. It's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini. I had seen this around in stores before. I kept not picking it up because I didn't particularly want it, but for some reason the day I went shopping I just decided to get this. But I have seen the movie of this and I remember liking it. I mean, I also liked it because Emma Roberts was in it. All I can really remember is that it was about mental health. This kid placed himself, or his parents placed him, in a hospital, and then it's just him being at the hospital with a bunch of other teens that are also having mental health issues, and then I think he falls in love. So that I didn't really care about. I am interested in reading more mental health stories, so might as well pick this one up. Next we have Grace by Paul Lynch. I don't know what this is about, but the cover kind of intrigued me. So it just seems to be about these two siblings that have to survive. Their mother like tells them to flee and they do, and they have to survive in some kind of wilderness. I love survival stories, so hopefully this will be good whenever I get to it. Next up we got From the Depths, a novella by Amy Griswold. This is part of the Stargate Atlantis series, and every so often I pick up a book from this series because I am reading it and I love them and I want to own all of them anyway. So I picked up a little novella. The cover is hilarious because, like, what is that? It says, when the aquatic life on Atlantis' adopted homeworld begins to threaten the city, Colonel Shepard's team discovers that the creatures are both intelligent and able to communicate. Okay, I'm obsessed. I want to read this right now. Sentient animals, love it. Okay, next up we have Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. I've always wanted to read more of her works and everyone seems to love this, so I definitely wanted to read it as well. And I'm actually going to be reading this with Kate in February, so like I will actually be getting to read this very soon, so that's awesome. But also just like the cover, are these not the best sapphic vibes you've ever seen? Which is really all I know about it. There's sapphic enemies to lovers, potentially. Yeah, one of them's a photographer for like a sister's wedding? Stepsister's wedding. And she falls for her stepsister's best friend. This looks and sounds amazing, and I'm obsessed with both of the characters on the cover because, wow, gorgeous. Then we've got Network Effect by Martha Wells. This is book 5 in the Murderbot Diaries, which I love, I'm obsessed with. This is the first full-length book. The rest of them so far have just been novellas. I'm so excited for this because, ooh, I love Murderbot. Murderbot is just sassy kind of robot who doesn't have a gender, is ace, and is like, what is happening with humans? I don't want anything to do with them, but don't you dare touch my team. Love it. So I'm really interested to see what kind of shenanigans Murderbot gets up to in this. We have a full-length novel. I'm so excited. Then I bought this copy of Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I have already read Radio Silence. I very much enjoyed it, and when I saw this cover at an op shop, I was like, you know what, I will get that. I like to own different editions of books that I love if I find them. I don't seek them out, but if I find them, I buy them. So I bought this. Radio Silence is amazing. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest it. It's really just about what friendship means and being yourself with your friends and discovering who you really are and listening to the coolest podcast in the world. This podcast sounds amazing, and I'm not really a podcast person, but I want University to be a real podcast. It's amazing. Then we have Jacqueline Hyde by Annabeth Bonder-Stone and Connor White. This is a middle grade horror-esque story, obviously based off Jacqueline Hyde, and I don't really need to know much more about it than that. Middle grade Jacqueline Hyde sounds interesting enough. It's kind of all I needed to know about it for me to want to pick it up. Even though I have recently read Jacqueline Hyde and it wasn't a fave, but the concept of the story I very much enjoy. So We got Rosemary and Rue by Seanan Maguire. This is one I've wanted to pick up for a while. It seems like paranormal investigations, and I'm always up for that. And I do really love Seanan Maguire's works. The world of fairy never disappeared. It merely went into hiding, continuing to exist parallel to our own. Cool. That type of like fairy thing. I think this person is part fairy. Seanan Maguire, paranormal type stuff. I'm gonna read it. Then I got Winky by Clifford Chase. Honestly, I just saw this cover and I thought it would be a horror about a teddy bear coming to life and killing people, which is very much what I wanted. But I read a bit of the synopsis and it's not a horror. But it was still a teddy bear coming to life, and something about that is very interesting to me. It's just like the teddy's going into the forest and then some like FBI type people pick up the teddy bear and start asking it questions, thinking that it's like the cause of some big conspiracy or something. This sounds absolutely crazy, but I'll give it a go because, you know, animals, the teddy bears and plushies that come to life, that's interesting. Then I got To Night Owl from Dogfish by Holly Goldberg Sloan and Meg Wolitzer. Honestly, the only thing I knew about this was that it was middle grade and queer. So I bought it when I saw it. Okay, so there's two kids, one's afraid of everything, one isn't. Oh, and their dads fall in love and they get sent away to a camp. I am very much getting the Parent Trap vibes here, which is not a bad thing. And like I said, I'm always up for a middle grade, and there's something about fears that I very much enjoy reading about. Then I got Zombie Haiku by Ryan Meckham. This is literally what it sounds like. It is a bunch of haikus about a zombie apocalypse. What you hold in your hands is a document from the early days of the zombie plague. Little is known about the author before his infection, only that he was a poet. I don't know, okay? It looked fun, and I mean, why not? Because that's always a great excuse to buy a book. Why not? I might need help with the book buying thing. Then I picked up The Island by C.L. Taylor. I am kind of a sucker for island, stranded, snowed in type things. Like when a character or a whole book is set where like people are stuck and things are happening, I usually want to read it. I am a little hesitant about this because it is teenagers. Teenagers can be very annoying to read about as someone who is no longer a teenager. But, you know, 7 days, 6 teenagers, one deadly secret. Who will escape the island? But again, this talks about fears, so I'm very interested in that. The island knows each of the group's worst fears, and one by one they're becoming a reality. That was the line that really hooked me, because if these kids are on an island where like their deepest, darkest fears start coming to like life, trying to like scare them or kill them, I'm there for it. Then I got Invisible Boys by Holden Shepherd. I wanted to read this for a while because queer. I'm also pretty sure this is Australian, but it's just about 3 boys, 3 teenagers, all very different, all hiding who they are. Potentially they're all queer. I don't know. But when the truth is revealed, will it set them free or blow them apart? I hate synopses like that. But, you know, it's queer, I'm gonna read it. I put the next 2 together. I got How to Twist a Dragon's Tail and A Hero's Guide to Deadly Dragons. These are books 5 and 6 of the How to Train Your Dragon series by Cressida Cowell. I have only read the first book in this series, and I do want to read it again and then continue on with the series. But I am absolutely 1000% obsessed with the movies and TV shows. I love them with all my heart and soul. So I really do want to read like where the story came from, even though it's incredibly different. But I think now I've had enough time away from it that I can be like, okay, these are very different. Let's see what this world has to offer. Then I have Beating Heart Baby by Leo Min. This was a book I got sent from Rabble, which is a bookstore in Western Australia. and it has a queer book subscription service, which I am a part of, and so this was the January pick. They also have a First Nations book subscription service if you would like that. I'm very tempted, but money. So this was the January book. I don't know what it's about. Just seems to be about two kids falling in love, and one of them's trans, and there's a lot of stuff to do with like music. Then I found the first volume of My Hero Academia by Kohi Horikoshi. I am 1000% obsessed with this as well. I love My Hero Academia. It is a manga series, and there is an anime as well about a superhuman society where they have superheroes as well as supervillains. Most people are born with a quirk, which is like that special superpower. Kids have to go to special schools if they want to then become a superhero, because it is a legitimate job. So you have to get training to be able to do it. And I'm obsessed. I love all these kids. It's so great, and I found this at an op shop, so of course I was going to buy it. Then I found Burn by Patrick Ness. Kind of, if I ever see a Patrick Ness book, I buy it because I know they're all at least going to be queer. I've only read one book by Patrick Ness, but I'm very intrigued by like his writing style and his storytelling ability. So there's dragons in this. A dragon that supposedly doesn't have a soul. Okay. I don't know, but it was Patrick Ness, so I bought it. Then I bought the Jack Charles book, Born Again Blackfella. Jack Charles is a Indigenous Australian musician, actor. He lists many things for himself. He says Jack Charles has worn many hats throughout his life. Actor, cat burglar, musician, heroin addict, activist, even Senior Victorian Australian of the Year. But the title he's most proud to claim is that he's an Aboriginal elder. So that's awesome. I do love reading about some of these Indigenous Australian elders and really prominent people. I read Archie Roach's memoir last year or the year before, and I really enjoyed it. I found it very fascinating, and so I desperately wanted to read more Indigenous Australian memoirs. So when I saw Jack Charles, I was like, yeah, definitely gonna do that. And for some reason I feel like there'll be an element of humour in this, because that just kind of seems like the type of person Jack Charles is. Then I had to buy my favourite book of 2022, and that is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This is the first in the Well Met series. These are contemporary romance novels, and I'm obsessed because these are the ones that are set at Renaissance fairs. I was not intrigued by Renaissance fairs at all. And then I picked this up, and it was my favourite book of the year. I love it. This little world of like Renaissance fairs are so cute, very wholesome. There are some steamy scenes if that is your jam, so you know, there's that. But they're just sweet romances. In this one, our main character has moved to the town that her sister lives in to help her sister out with her niece because the sister got into an accident, she can't do much. So the sister comes, helps with the kid. The kid wants to be a part of the Renaissance fair, but they need an adult. So the sister has to go and play a bar wench. So she does that and ends up kind of having a fake-ish relationship with the person in charge of the Renaissance fair. It's a good little romance, and I just love the characters, the world, cute little small town vibes. It's great. Then I picked up Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. I desperately wanted this cover, not that other cover, which I think is not pretty at all. And, you know, everyone's obsessing about this. I'm so keen to read it. It sounds amazing. Cute, cozy fantasy about a orc who used to be a warrior, but now she's trying to like retire. She opens up a coffee shop in a place where people don't know what coffee is, and there's a romance, and it's sapphic. So. And then the last book that I bought in January was Soul Eater, the Perfect Edition, Volume 5. Also, this is Kid, my favourite character. So Soul Eater is my favourite manga series. It is about Lord Death running a school to teach weapons and meisters how to be good weapons and meisters. Weapons are people that can turn into weapons, and meisters are the people that wield those weapons. And they're just a bunch of kids going on missions to get rid of the evil in the world. They have such like this deep platonic connection with like their weapon or with their meister. and it's beautiful. It's just like basically a whole manga series about platonic soulmates, and it's beautiful. I love all the characters, and there's such a big Halloween vibe of everything in here. It's funny, it's cute. I love just all the death vibes. It's really, really good. I highly recommend if anyone wants to go read it. It's great. So there's my January haul. Out of all of these books, which ones do you think I should prioritize the most? And someone please keep me accountable for all of the books I buy. Because I can tell you, it's gonna be at least this many books every month, if not more. So look forward to that, maybe? Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.